Hello, dear lovely students everywhere. Mr. Ziad is with you, continuing crystallizing past papers. We are continuing paper of M1, Mechanics 1, October 2024. And we are continuing with question 6. So let's crystallize question 6. A particle P of mass 5 kilograms lies on a surface or the surface of a rough plane. The plane is inclined at an angle alpha to the horizontal, where tan alpha is 3/4. The particle is held in equilibrium, so we are on statics of a particle, by a horizontal force of magnitude h newtons. Horizontal force means parallel to the horizontal, to the horizon, as shown. The horizontal force acts as a vertical plane containing a line of greatest slope, means direction. This statement means the direction. So as usually say, but this is the first question like we do in the first two papers, as I'll be doing in the next page now. This is what he means by this statement. Direction of the force is like in this direction. The coefficient of friction between the particle and the plane, so mu is 1/4 or 0.25. Find the smallest in part A. Find the smallest possible value of h. Easy part, but we have to understand. And how do you start solving these questions? The first we must start with, dear students. I'll be doing here, then I open new page just to start this properly first and to be involved in the concept. H is horizontal force, so it's not in the direction of the plane, it's not perpendicular to the plane. So H must be resolved. Since he said horizontal force, so this is alpha by alternate, and this is also alpha by vertically opposite. So this is the adjacent component of H. So it's H cosine alpha, and this is the opposite one, which is H sine alpha. Of course, R always perpendicular to the plane. The weight needs to be resolved, which is 5g. So we have always, remember, this is the perpendicular, which is 5g cosine alpha, and this is the direction or parallel to the plane, 5g sine alpha. In part A, he's asking this question because we have two possibilities of H. If we set, dear students, this is the idea here, the friction in this direction down the plane means H will be more. So why is asking this question? Just to hint us or give us a hint. So what do you mean, Mr. Examiner? He means we state friction in the direction of H, so H will be smaller. Means in simple language, this is the main force of the motion. So how do you start solving this? We write, usually, we resolve the forces first. Yes, there is no space here because of this I drew again, so explaining everything to you. But we write the equations of motion first after we resolve, translating what does he want in part A, parallel to the plane. Show yourself and the examiner that 5g sine alpha is the main force, equals to friction plus h cosine alpha. Perpendicular to the plane, R is equal to h sine alpha plus 5g cosine alpha. Always when you have a rough plane and he gives mu, we have third equation, which is mu r, which is 0.25 r. Then I start solving these three equations together to find h that he wants. But first you have to state that h in the friction in the direction of h to get smaller value of h. Move to the next page. So what do you have with neat way here? This is the perpendicular. Again, to solve on the same page the full steps. This is h here. We don't accept it like this, extended. And this is also alpha. So we have here h cosine alpha, and the friction is here, as we stated in the previous page, 5g sine alpha, 5g cosine alpha, and h sine alpha, and r is here. We solve the forces, dear students, in the direction of the plane perpendicular to the plane. Then we start now finding the unknowns. He gives us in the question tan alpha is a 3/4. So we sketch right angle triangle by labeling, finding h value by Pythagoras, which is square root of 3 squared plus 4 squared, which is 5, stating that sine alpha is a 3/5, which is OAH, cosine alpha, or 0.6 in decimal, cosine alpha is 4/5, which is 0.8. Then by writing parallel to the plane, so we know now 5g sine alpha is equal to friction plus h cosine alpha. Directly values that we don't write the steps. It's one of the skills in mechanics to get marks with the unknowns. Just write the values that we found. So here 5 times 9.8 times 0.6 equals friction plus 0.8 h. Writing the values in the calculator, 29.4 equals friction plus 0.8 h. Then we move perpendicular to the plane. Nice. Mechanics is nice when you do what you have to do. R is equal to 5g cosine alpha plus h sine alpha. This gives R equals 5 times 9.8 times 0.8, 0.6 h. This in the calculator, 39.2 plus 0.6 h. The second information in the question, that if R equals 0.25 times R, 0.525 times 9.2 plus 0.6. By making if R the subject, expanding or multiplying the fourth or 0.25, you will get 9.8 plus 0.15 h. So we have this equation here and this equation here. Let's say this is equation 1, equation 2 to help yourself. So by solving, substituting 1 into 2, what you will be getting? Just replace FR, friction force, here, forming an equation with H, getting 29.4 equals to 9.8 plus 0.15 H plus 0.8 H. By simplifying and making solving for H, you will get 19.6 equals 0.95 H, which is this plus this. So this will give H is equal to 19.6 divided by 0.95 to 3 significant figures, 20.6 newtons. Finishing and getting the 6 marks fully. For part B, the horizontal force now is removed, and P starts to slide down the slope or the plane. In the first t seconds after P is released from rest, P slides 1.5 meters down the slope. Find the value of t. This is, dear students, as a new question or another question in the same question. What do you mean, sir? I will show you. Since the horizontal force H is gone, so the Mr. 5 will go down the plane. So now the system will be, or the particle will be, the particle, dear students, will accelerate now down the plane. This is the idea. Now means it's dynamics now. With the main force 5g sine alpha, perpendicular to the plane 5g cosine alpha, are perpendicular to the plane, and friction now must be up the plane or up the slope. So since this moved, as he said, down the plane with 1.5 meters, he wants the time. He call it t. How do you find it? First, of course, we write the new equations of motion. Parallel to the plane, 5g is the main force sine alpha minus friction is equal to 5a. Now the particle is accelerating, dear students. So a needs to be found. From perpendicular to the plane, r equals 5g cosine alpha. By calculating directly, what do you find? 5g cosine. Don't write it next step, dear students, with unknown. Just write it. So r in the calculator is equal to 39.2 newtons. And we know friction is 0.25 times r, which is 39.2, which is 9.8 newtons. By substituting the friction in the first equation, let's say this is equation 1 in different color. So by equation 1, you will get 5g, which is 5 times 9.8 times 0.6 minus 9.8 equals 5a. Using the calculator, 29.4 minus 9.8 equals 5a. This minus this divide by 5. A is equal to 3.92 meter per second squared. So the acceleration of the particle. Now, what do we have? The particle is released from rest. We move to Sovat now. Accelerates down the plane 3.92 meter per second squared, and it moved 1.5 meters. He wants t. So the formula that consists or contains UA or SOT, whatever the way that you memorize it, S equals U2, U times T plus half AT squared. S is 1.5 is equal to UT, which is 0 times T, plus half times A, which is 3.92 times T squared. So T squared is equal to, just multiply, cross multiply, which is 3. 2 times 1.5 divided by 3.92 gives you almost 0.768. By writing the square root, which is t that he wants, of this value, which is 0.875 seconds to 3 significant figures. If anyone have a problem or has a problem, if you are more than one have problem with the topic, just communicate. M1 is really enjoyable topic. You can get the marks easily, getting a good grade easily in mechanics if you focus, if you write the sufficient steps. May Allah helps and support you to get your, inshallah, more than desired grade.